You're ready to be premature all over again.
Wow, that's impressive.
Quick
bro.
reset.
Yeah.
Quick reset.
Yeah, that's right. Licking gin balls.
It's just going to be a vicious cycle.
Who knew the job was pro bono?
I was so high that I shit myself at some point.
Okay, somebody, everybody mute. Goddamn, you're killing me.
My SEAL Team 6 went to SEAL Team 12.
There's nothing wrong with punching above your weight.
To play with you.
better. Well,
I don't know which
also,
worse. You're a ginger or you've been vaccinated.
You sit around and drink and solve the world's problems, right?
Hey, let's go ahead and unwrap this present
So,
and let the debate begin.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for another one. New week, new topic. Looking forward to this one. This one had been rolling around in my head all week, and this is going to be an interesting one. But yeah, so all you masturbators, get ready. Boys are all here. It's full group. We're excited. Going to jump right into it. First and foremost, how are you all doing today?
Boom goes the dynamite.
See, I never know how you're going to react. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And then it's like, I say it and everybody pauses and waits for you.
I know.
My whole week just revolves around waiting for that 5 seconds.
Like, what's he
Right
gonna
there.
do? What's he gonna do?
What are we gonna get? Is it gonna be worth it? Is it gonna satiate me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Gonna make
Oh,
me
it always
come?
does.
Have you seen the video of the guy who's doing the newscast and got put on the spot to do sports?
Mm-mm.
No.
He's just falling apart. Like he can't keep up with everything. He's like, and for the basket, like he's not saying anything intelligible.
That makes any sense.
And then he gets to this one game and the guy makes the basket and he goes, and boom goes the dynamite. So it was like the one phrase he pulled off.
That's it.
During the
From
whole
like the
segment.
1990s, though, right?
Yes. Glad everybody is here. Looking forward to this one, really, because I don't know. I mean, we've touched on some of this stuff throughout the year that we've been doing this, but nothing definitive in terms of how you guys feel about this particular topic. So it'll be interesting to see. And so, yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's go ahead and start with our drinks. Haas, I'm going to start with you. I'd love to know what you are drinking today. I'm sure it's probably gin based, but I'm going to let you tell us.
Coincidentally, no.
Nope, no gin.
No. The wife and I did some spring cleaning of sorts, I guess, and I discovered I had a full bottle of this Havana Club Verde infused with botanicals. And being a white rum with botanicals and citrus, I was like, what the fuck am I going to make? There was nothing. Disappointed in the Cocktail Flow app because there was nothing really in there for this. But I had a full bottle and I was like, dude, it's taking up space. I need to know if it's any good. I need to do something with it. So I went online and I found a recipe, very simple. Mix 2 parts ginger ale, 1 part that. So I made a big old batch of that, doubled, maybe did 1 for 1 instead of 2 for 1. And yeah,
like you do.
like I do, because I mean, can't just sit there forever.
No, exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, it's all right.
Bars and wine holders are for losers who don't finish the bottle the first go round.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. That was a
You
great
drink it
game.
in a single sitting. You don't need a wine rack. All right. All right. Grinch, what are you drinking today?
I am drinking a Mai Tai. And
We've done that before.
yeah, I haven't done it. I thought to say I think you did it, right?
I think I did one too.
I never
think.
remember who did shit,
Mac,
but
Mac did it.
I knew somebody had before, but yeah, doing the Mai Tai, pretty straightforward. So
You don't strike me as a your tie kind of person, but hey, the tie doesn't work. But if that's your thing, that's
evoke, my inner Hawaii and just think about the sun
That's
and the
it.
waves.
That's it.
Yeah, with that hippie ass hair.
That's
That's
that
right.
fucking
Right.
racing
Yeah,
stripe
that's
going
right.
on. Yeah, Mai Tai.
Which
Yeah, I mean,
is
it's-
looking very Patrick Swayze of you these days.
Yeah, thank you.
May he rest in peace.
Amen.
All right, Mac. What about you, brother? What are you? You're not doing a Mai Tai, are you?
I'm not doing a Mai Tai
Okay,
now.
good.
So
Just checking.
I got a new bottle of bourbon this week, the Long Branch bourbon, which is the Matthew McConaughey kind of collaboration with Wild Turkey. So I was trying to think of something to do with that, and was kind of flipping around some different recipes and found one for it's basically bourbon and tea. So it's bourbon tea, I guess. So you just take your bourbon, mix it, I think, they were calling 3 parts tea to 1 part bourbon, whatever tea you want to do. Pour it in a Collins glass over ice. So
you did 3 parts bourbon, 1 part tea?
no. I followed the
Look
recipe.
at Haas. Haas is like, man, what?
No, I followed the recipe.
Okay.
But I said,
did you follow it too?
That's just not going to work for Grinch. I don't think he's going to allow that.
No.
So I said, how can I take this up a notch? And so,
you dipped your balls in it.
No, I did not add a hobo's dick cheese to it. To float around in the top. So yeah, I got to poking around and was out on a certain website by Paul out at Goat Whiskey. And they had a recipe for something similar, but they say to weaponize your bourbon tea.
That's what I was waiting on.
So you add the Devil's Bourbon
Nice.
Whiskey Reaper
Nice.
Edition.
Okay.
So that's what I went with. So I've got a nice tall glass to clean out the insides today.
So it is Reaper whiskey and tea. And
it's Reaper whiskey and tea.
Okay.
Yeah. Woo. Even cut down with the tea and the melted ice, you can still taste the Reaper.
It's
Okay,
like drinking the sun.
Yes. Or the devil's asshole. Either one.
It's gonna feel like that.
It's hot.
That's right.
So are you saying that drink's the devil's taint? You're
It
officially
could be.
naming that drink the devil's taint.
No. We're sticking with the weaponized tea, sweet
Iced
tea.
tea. That's what I was going to ask. Is that just like good Southern tea, homemade, or did you buy?
It's homemade.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of tea with a bag, like a pound of sugar.
Okay.
As you do it in the South, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Absolutely. All right, the Devil's Taint. I'm sorry, Haas. What were you drinking?
I think it's just called Havana Club Verde and ginger ale.
that the Devil's Taint, and then a Mai Tai. So I guess I will finish to play opposite your devil. Oh God, you devil. I went with an Oh My God, which is the name of the cocktail. And it is an ounce of Southern Comfort, an ounce of sour apple schnapps, and then 4 ounces of pineapple juice. And then I just doubled everything. And not quite doubled. I doubled the schnapps and the Southern Comfort, but not the pineapple juice. And then it just went over ice in a Collins glass. So that's what I am drinking, and it's called an Oh My God to play opposite your Devil's Taint.
if we had really planned this out properly, you would have had that a couple weeks ago when I had the orgasm. And then you could have said, "Oh my God!" But clearly we don't plan here.
What I want to say every time when you say "Oh my God" is, "I made a deal with the devil. Now the devil's in my blood."
Oh my God!
Yeah, hell.
No, come on, do it. Oh my God!
All right, I did it once.
He's like, just double that.
I said I want to do it every time. I don't really need it.
So yeah, I just obviously, before we start, just want to say a small prayer and cheers to you, gentlemen.
Yeah. Is yours good?
I said rocks.
Yeah. I mean, and of course, when you read the thing, it's like, it'll make you say, "Oh my God," because it tastes so good. I don't know about all that. It's not bad.
So every time you take a sip today, you have to say, "Oh my God."
Oh my God.
I made a deal with the. Oh, sorry.
It's going to be a long show. Cheers.
So let's go ahead and get started. So for all you at home, super excited about this topic because I don't know that it'll be a contentious topic, but I'm interested to see what everybody has to say about it. Unfortunately, unless you speak Latin, because we're going to do the entire episode in Latin, you really won't understand anything, but that's okay. Because we're going to be talking
Gregorian chant.
Yes. But we're going to be talking about religion. Let that sink in.
Can I speak in tongues?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Is that allowed?
Where are you
you are drinking goat whiskey, the Reaper, so you probably will be speaking in tongues before this is over.
At some point. It's something that we've talked about, not as a focus of a topic, but we've talked about things, we've touched on it, and our belief in religion. Do we believe in it? Do we believe in a higher being, a God, if you will? And we even had Jason Hauk on when we talked about Afghanistan, who had a background in religion. And so I thought at some point, and we've gotten together as a group and talked about this over the last years, at some point we did want to talk about this topic. We've made jokes, we've made references, but we've never actually talked about it, dissected it. And so I thought now would be a good time. And I don't know why. I just thought now would be a good time to talk about religion and be able to express my opinion that I believe religion's a joke and that I don't believe in God and that's only my personal opinion. You guys do with that what you will. But I thought this would be a good time to talk about it. So I don't have a question to ask. Grinch, I talked about it with you earlier this week.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it some more thought after we spoke. I mean, the very broad question that might precede the discussion of religion is the belief in, like, starting with the belief that God exists or not.
No. Okay, we can move on from
Yeah,
that.
I was
now.
gonna say no. We're done
Absent
here.
that, I mean, what are there, like 1,000 religions in the world? But they all, quite a number of them trace to some deity,
Right.
Or worshipped entity or something along those lines, or a belief system, if you will.
Right. A god, multiple gods, something.
Yeah, and there seems to, there's like a aspect of accountability while you're alive in terms of what would follow.
Right.
I
I think one of the issues I've had in listening to our previous episodes, anytime I come up with a very specific question, we tend to be all over the map anyway. So I'm like, is it even necessary? I mean, we can talk about what we want. We can go down whatever rabbit hole we decide.
Well, I think
And the
nice
mass debaters
you,
seem to come with us on the carpet right anyway. So
you usually give us a great jumping off point, and that helps. I think usually like spark.
So I didn't do it today. Is that what you're saying?
So you,
Well, I mean, I
you
think we'll-
screwed the pooch this week.
did.
That's what I'm feeling.
Thor, this is Thor's original map. He shows us. It's like this straight line, and then we're
God,
like,
why have you abandoned me? This is my point. This is why I don't think there's a God, because he has just abandoned me in the moment. I don't get it. There was no divine analvention. A light did not shine down on me and inspire me to come up with a fantastic question. I did think about it all week, and I don't know where to go with it, but I think the question is, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, go ahead, Grinch.
It's clearly
No.
it's a
You
huge-
go. I said you. He can wait. Don't do that. Don't
Okay,
let
I'm
him
going to jump in here then.
Baby's in the corner.
And back to me. No, go ahead. We're all just going to sit quietly.
Now nobody's going to talk.
It's going to be an interesting episode.
When you say you, like, we're all
Who?
like, is he talking
You.
to me?
You right there. You stop talking.
The two
And you
youths.
talk. And that's
Two
right.
youths.
Haas, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I mean, maybe you should. It would be a bad idea to start off with saying whether or not we believe in religion or not.
Okay, I've
Each one
already
of us.
said I don't. And I can expand on why as the episode goes on. But absolutely, let's go around. Haas,
So you consider yourself an atheist?
not an atheist. I would consider myself agnostic. Like, I want to believe that something exists.
Okay.
There is no proof. And yet, I don't even know how you worded it when you said it the other night to me, Grinch. You were talking about religion, and you said it's the one thing, and please correct me, it's the one thing that we ask you to take at face value with zero proof, and only believe in
That's
faith
right.
alone.
The answer is always, you got to have faith. That is the response, because there's nothing otherwise, and yet you're basically told to govern your entire life by its strictures. Is that the right word?
Scripture.
Well, scripture, yeah. I mean, certainly from the scripture, but by its tenets, if you will.
Right. Yes. You mean tenants like that? People that pay rent? I'm confused now. This
He
is the
means like
problem with
David
religion.
Tennant. He means
Oh,
David Tennant from
okay.
Dr.
See,
Who.
this is why I never understood religion. There's too many factors. Haas, do you believe in religion?
I tend to fall more in your category of being agnostic, right? To be more like angsters, bitters
Agnostic.
than I do atheist. I was raised very heavy Judeo-Christianity. Oh my God, I love it. That's so great, man.
That's the tenets of religion, right?
It really is. Max got the tenets. You should have put like a white sign that says the 10 tenets, the 10 command tenets or something.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. Somebody may need to take a screen capture, because that's pretty fucking creepy in the background there.
It is kind of creepy.
got
It's
you.
also kind of sexy at the same time.
Yeah, Mac is, since no one can see this, Mac has a life-size cardboard cutout of the actor David Tennant from Doctor Who, which is obviously the reference of Tennant. So let's move on. Sorry, Haas, what were you saying?
Yeah,
Before we
just
were distracted.
I'm like you. I haven't grown up in a very heavy Judeo-Christian household, where my parents and grandparents were deeply involved. Like my grandfather sat on the board of the directors for the Methodist Church. We used to go to conference every year with them, even as youth. When I was younger, I mean, because that's what you're taught. But as you get older, you start to develop your own thoughts and ideas. but I think I've grown more towards being agnostic than I am atheist. I want to believe agnostic. There we go. Agnostic.
Yeah.
I couldn't
was
tell
gonna
you were
let
doing
keep
that
going.
deliberately or
I
not.
keep
Yeah,
wanting
I
to
was
say,
gonna let you.
well, I mean, it's
He's
Agnostic.
Augusta.
I'm more towards being Angostura bitters than I am being atheist.
So you're gonna fucking say the word right when you're doing it this way, Angostura. Nice. Okay, Mac. What about you?
I don't have to answer that.
No, absolutely you don't. I mean, that is
No,
your
I am-
choice.
You do, and we can harass you about it because there's no HR department for you to complain to.
Goddamn right there isn't.
Let's put it this way: if you don't answer, I'm just gonna edit an answer for you. So do yourself a favor and just
Can
answer
you
the
do it
question.
like in a really sexy voice?
No, I'm just gonna edit
Arlo
pieces
White,
of your
maybe?
voice together.
No, I don't believe in a god, any god. I just, for me, I don't see that as being something that is a valid thing. I don't have faith.
So
believe
you are an
blindly.
atheist.
I would say probably I'm an atheist. Yeah. If you have to label me as something,
Well, I mean,
because I don't believe in labeling people.
Really. So, but your name's a
I'm-
label.
I'm-
so
I'm
what do we call
binary.
you? What do we call you if
You
you
just call me Zero.
Call you
Here on
Zero.
out.
There you go. All right, so we have 2 agnostra believers
That's right.
and 1 atheist. Okay, and Saint Grinchifer, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably only been recently that I've sort of settled into this position, which I guess you could call it atheism. And I found it interesting listening to a couple of videos of those that take issue with that term, because they're, what the suggestion is, you're labeling me as anti something you believe to be true, like therefore I get the label of atheist. And it's not like their argument is it's like it's not a category because I don't believe in the thing that you're telling me I'm against, even it exists. Like, how can you be anti nothing in essence? But I'm not that wrapped around the axle on atheism versus being agnostic. And I think kind of like you mentioned there, Thor, it's not that I don't want to believe in something, it's just there's zero proof of it. And
So wait a minute. What you're telling me is all those written scriptures and the Bible and all the duties that Jesus did, that didn't happen. None of that happened.
Well,
I
we know
believe
it
he
got
had
written,
duties.
obviously.
It's all straight fiction.
But
Yeah,
it was written by men.
Right. Right.
Right.
And,
Yeah, but lots of
So-
lots of history was written by men that we believe happened. Right? We weren't alive during World War One, but we believe it happened. We weren't alive during World War II, but things were written down about it.
right, but you can prove those things.
But you can prove. You're right. That's the difference,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's one of the biggest things is you can prove it.
Do you guys
through
believe in
other-
dinosaurs?
Yeah, because they're dinosaur bones.
Stuff's been written about, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
dinosaur bones.
What
like-
about when they find stuff in ancient Egypt during the time period of Jesus Christ? It was stuff that was around, like Sodom and Gomorrah, that kind of stuff. Do we not believe in those cities? Do we not believe in those places? Do we not believe in those people?
You can prove cities.
I'm not saying that I don't believe in those places and everything, but what I'm saying is that I don't believe there is one individual that lives up in space and is controlling everything and created everything. I just, that is way too far-fetched of a story for me to buy into.
But
Yeah,
hold on.
I
When
mean-
you were a kid, you believed in Santa. You believed in the Easter Bunny. You believed in the
Yeah, and I was a
Tooth
kid. I was an idiot.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
you-
See,
I believed
that's funny.
in God when I was a kid, right? Look, I went to Sunday school growing up, right? All the way up until, I was probably in middle school. I did the youth group. I did all of that stuff. I did kind of fall into a lot of that, I don't want to say trappings because that's not really the word I want to use here, but, I did kind of want to believe at that point, but, I've gotten to the point now where I see no proof. So to me, without proof, there's nothing there for me to just blindly believe in.
Yeah, my daughter, it's funny, Haas, that you mentioned that, because when we were talking about this in my house the other night, my daughter goes, but what about Santa Claus? And I said, you're right. I believed in Santa Claus, Mac, as you said, when I was a kid. But when somebody pulled back the veil, I didn't continue to believe in Santa Claus. I went, okay, I get it. as mom and
Nobody's
dad.
pulled back a veil and said, aha, just kidding. God isn't real. Jesus isn't real. Muhammad isn't real.
But
I wouldn't necessarily say that.
So hold on. That brings up a really good point, though. How are you going to say that, there's this one all-knowing individual, but yet you've got, all these different religions that believe in a different version of that one particular, almighty being?
I think that could be
how can you say
it's
one is right?
culturally and geographically located in its differences. But if you look at most religions, not the fringe parts, mind you, but the core of most religions, they believe in all the same things. Don't murder, don't steal, don't be an adulterer. Right?
Okay, so here's the thing. So just be a good fucking person.
Yeah,
right.
Sure, absolutely.
So that
100%.
brings me back to, people are just simply, man is simply kind of creating these rules in this, kind of
to justify morality.
Story to justify morality.
That's one of the biggest arguments you'll hear for, is that absent religion, where would we get our morals? And what some of the primary, talking, heads of the atheistic or atheist kind of position is, they say that, well, it's not true. Like, absent religion, you can still form morals. Like, I mean, I don't need someone to tell me thou shalt not kill, in order to know it's probably, like, it just doesn't seem right to
thou shalt not kill.
And so, and then back to the culture thing. I mean, that's another, that's another one of the issues that some take is, okay, if there is one being, then how should it be allowed on one single earth, this many versions of religion to form? And then the answer is because of the culture, because it's like, well, that's curious. Like, why would the culture shape what the God's like? If the God is God, and it would kind of be universally interpreted.
Because it's the same thing of, like, okay, if we're all sitting in place A, and I share a story with the three of you, and you go to 3 different places and you share that story, and so on and so on, over time, culturally, that story is going to change based on how you tell the story, because that's how stories were originally shared, right? They weren't written down, they were shared vocally. So those little nuances that changed when the history was being passed from one generation to the next, that is what I suspect probably occurred. And it's important to note, none of us are religious experts, by the way.
Absolutely. Not trying to sway anybody.
I mean, I hear you, and I take the point. It's just, when you say, like, Hinduism, Buddha, Shiva, Ganesh, Jesus, like, those things don't add up. And even, if you start getting into, like, Jewish faith as opposed to Islam, like, there's some pretty glaring differences between all those. And it begs the question of, like, why are they different? Well, they're different, in my opinion, because they've been interpreted by man over years and years and years. And then religion became a very powerful influence, because as human beings, we seek purpose, right? That's one of the biggest things that drives us to religion, is that question of purpose and why. And, we have conditionally trained at a very young age to latch that purpose and why onto religion. And the other really interesting thing that I think is, like, somebody said, religion's like a virus. It's encoded to spread. Like, it says, go forth, spread the faith, so to speak. And then it's probably not coincidental that you're baptized at a very early age and you're expected to be influenced by religion from Jump Street.
Yeah, it's interesting. And that's a great point, because not just being baptized, but in the Methodist religion, you are welcomed in the church, and I can't remember what it's called. It's not a christening, but it happens during puberty, about that time when you start becoming super curious about everything, and start, forming your own thoughts and opinions.
Like
Confirmation. Thank you. Yeah.
Let's get our hooks into you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good point.
Just to very quickly, Haas, circle back to your Santa Claus reference. When I was a kid, I believed in Santa Claus. And then at some point when Santa Claus was no longer that belief, because I did understand the process, right? I was able to shed the idea of Santa Claus. But with the Bible, they tell us, okay, obviously God creates the earth in 6 days, and Adam and Eve formed from that. According to certain timelines, Adam and Eve are about 150,000 years old. But we know through carbon dating, dinosaur bones are 65 million years old. So very quickly I go, that doesn't add up. So if the earth is created in 6 days and boom, Adam is there, and then we take his rib and we create Eve and so on. And I very quickly, like I said, as an intelligent, mildly intelligent, I won't get carried away, I quickly go, well, that doesn't work. So what's the deal? But then nobody can tell me, because as Grinch said at the outset of this, it's all based on faith.
Is it? And it's funny you say faith, because I was going to ask, do you guys have faith? Do you have faith in unknowns and not knowing things? Because,
on this topic, there was, I think maybe we were gaming when I mentioned this, Thor. The statement that I heard related to that question of faith is, I mean, obviously, it would the answer that would follow would be in what, but throughout history, things we couldn't understand were attributed to gods and supernatural, whether it was the sun orbiting the earth, whether natural events, the gods were angry because they didn't understand weather, like, I mean, the Mayans weren't Christian, but they had gods that they believed in. The Egyptians, Isis, Osiris, etc. But all of it seemed to connect with things they simply couldn't explain. And as science kept filling that void, that began to replace what was unexplained.
For most logical people, I would absolutely agree
right.
with you.
Because again, it's empirical. Like, you can prove it, and you can actually, like, astrophysics has now taught us a ton about everything from what primordial shit ended up here that may have led to life. It's just, even like I said, the cities are factual. Like, I'm not disputing some of these cities. It's the tales that followed and the yarns that got spun after that took this hold that, to me, still does not compute in our total history, either as a species or as a planet. Because there's just some glaring things there that you're like, wouldn't we have been able to by now prove X, Y, and Z? And we still just can't.
I want to come back.
The negative.
Yeah,
right?
I want to take that a step further and come back to that, but I want to back up for a second. Faith. So, Mac, you've had some interesting stuff happen as an adult that one might say you would pray or meditate on, right? And Grinch, being that you just left the military and you've been in combat type like situations, if not combat situations, are you guys telling me that as adults you've never prayed? As grown men, you've never prayed? Okay.
No, I have not, because again, I don't believe in a higher being that would be listening to that prayer anyway.
Yeah, again, back to Thor's point, it's not that I don't want anything to be there. It's not that. I just can't get there with my rational mind. And in the sense of, praying, like, I've certainly participated in a number of prayers. We prayed before every jump. A lot of units, before they went on patrol, would pray. Like, I'm not saying the concept of spirituality doesn't have a strength and there isn't a bond associated with that. Like, those are the things I like about it, and I want to connect with. Yeah.
Do either one of you find, or do any of you guys ever find yourself being spiritual in the slightest?
I awestruck. Which you could argue there's some similar emotions in that, like if you see a truly awe-inspiring sight, but I'm equally awe-inspired by seeing the space shuttle, right, by seeing incredible things like that, or the Hubble telescope's images coming back. And that's the stuff that I think, that's what I think starts to tap into the vein of where, like, the atheist folks are, is they're in essence, part of their argument is unburden you from all this guilt. And maybe this is the only thing.
Control.
Yeah, this is the only thing. Maybe it is one lifetime, live your best. That's kind of what they're trying to imply. Like, stop always thinking about, well, what's next? We're all going to be on the even playing ground. There is no rich, there is no poor. It's like, well, I can't guarantee that. I can't prove it, so are you going to live your entire life waiting for that moment, or are you going to enjoy the life you have now and make the most of it?
Absolutely. And again, you and I talked about that the other night. It was like, I think people get so focused on, I have to live a certain way to reach the pearly gates, to be accepted into heaven, that you're not even focused here and now. And I know, and again, not to reference him particularly, but Bill Cosby did a stand up in the 80s, and he even made a joke that about his parents dealing, his parents and the way they treated him, and his parents and the way they treated his kids. And he's like, those are not my parents. Those are people just trying to get into heaven. And, I think at some point people are like, oh, I've got to get into heaven, so I have to behave a certain way. The morality question, Grinch, that you mentioned, do we need to derive morality, our morals, from religion? We got preachers that steal from the coffers. We got Catholic priests that rape kids.
But let me ask you this. Do you guys believe religion serves a purpose, good or bad?
For me, or for people that choose to believe? I believe religion serves a purpose for believers, those that choose to believe it.
Okay.
It is being in the same place, whatever that house of worship is, being in the same place with potentially like-minded individuals. It's the same reason kids in disenfranchised inner cities join gangs, because they feel a part of something that takes
fellowship.
care of them. Right.
Yeah.
And it's why people join cults.
Yeah, I'm not going to make that jump. I'm going to just go right over that.
But that's absolutely
but
true.
no, you're right. I mean, and from that standpoint, I think it does serve a purpose, and I think it can be good to bring people together, of like minds, to have that, I guess, camaraderie, right? But like you just listed, there's a million other ways to do that. If you're just looking to kind of have,
say that. You say that.
I say a lot of shit, so
I know, but that brings up a good point, right? Okay, so none of us are an organized religion for any shape, matter, form, or fashion, right? When was the last time you guys were involved in an organization that supplied relief to a third world country, like a mission type thing? Like my parents' church and their Sunday school class in particular, they put their money where their mouth is, and they contribute, and some of these people actually even go and help out physically.
The company I work for does that. When
well,
Puerto Rico got blasted,
and I would
years
argue,
ago.
I mean,
but you personally, I don't mean your company.
Yeah, but I would argue there are non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, as we would refer to them, that do the same thing. And the thing is, like, I don't enjoy throwing stones at religion, in the sense of, like I said, I want the good things to be there. I just call into question shackling yourself to this belief system for your entire life. And oh, by the way, should you not, you're going to be burned for eternity in hell. Like, what the fuck? Like, if that's not meant to scare you into a system, I don't know what is, right?
Well, the good news is there are plenty sects of at least Judeo-Christianity where hellfire and brimstone is not the forefront. But I get your point.
But you could have an Aborigine never encounter Christianity and die, and there's not a great answer from religion as so explain to me what's supposed to happen to an Aborigine that's never encountered Christianity. They've obviously never sought path through Jesus, because they don't even know who Jesus is. So you're telling me a creature on this earth is condemned to damnation by simply where they were born?
I don't know. I'm not that well versed, honestly. It's been a very, very long time since I've read my Bible.
Look at Jehovah's Witness. Jehovah's Witness, there are 7 billion people on the planet. Jehovah's Witness believe the 12 tribes of the Bible, 12,000 from each tribe will get in. That's 144,000 getting into heaven.
Yeah.
Where's everybody else going?
And what's the time frame on that? Are we talking since the beginning of time? Because if we are, I'm pretty sure that's been filled.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just curious. Like, these are questions I personally have that I wanted to ask because I want to know what you guys think of them.
Well, ironically, I was going to call them devil's advocate questions.
So was I. I was about to do that very thing. Devil's advocate. I don't know, Haas, you've asked a lot of pointed questions. What about you? I mean, you haven't answered any of the questions you've asked us. So,
well, that's the beauty of being the person asking the questions. You don't have to answer.
That's right. I was going to keep you all on the back foot long enough.
That's right. Yeah, take the
I'm not trying to keep you guys on the back foot. I promise. I just this is like us just sitting around shooting the shit, hanging out, drinking we do, right? I'm curious because we've talked about a lot of stuff in the years, and I don't recall that we've ever actually discussed religion in depth.
No.
So I was just curious.
I feel pretty confident you and I have had this discussion before.
When you say you, who are you talking about?
Haas and I have had this discussion before. in the hallway
Where were we drinking in college?
of a dorm at the West Georgia University. I don't remember anything other than the fact that we were having a discussion on religion, but I know we've had it.
Man,
I'm sure our views have changed since then, even. And that's the thing,
probably.
right? As I mentioned, I've done, the whole church kind of, and I don't want to call it Bible thumpers kind of thing, but so that's the beauty of it is you can kind of be fluid and I guess kind of come in and out of what you believe.
I think you're right.
Did you just compare that to like gender fluidity? Like, I'm just again, I don't know. It's weird. Hosh, you asked about faith. Do I have faith? Faith in what? What specifically? If you're asking if I have faith that there is an omniscient higher power.
Well, not even omniscient, but do you like do you ever know, like, when you're having just a shit week, do you ever just have faith knowing that things are just going to get better? Like when something shitty happens, that you just have faith that this too shall pass, as my mom always used to tell us.
I'm gonna sound really, really arrogant and shitty here.
Okay.
I have faith in myself.
That's
so when which is not a good thing sometimes.
No, but that's
when
all
things
you
are
can
going
absolutely
bad,
count on.
I'm the one that can change those things. If I'm in a bad situation, I'm the only one that can change that situation. I can't have faith that just something is miraculously going to happen that's going to change it. So I just need to sit back and wait for that to happen.
Are we trying to imply that we're all fated to a very specific set of circumstances, and so you have faith that things will work out, or that wherever you're supposed to be, or things that you're supposed to do? Are you struggling over there? Are you okay?
I am. My cat was chewing on my mic to my headset.
Oh, Jesus. You get electrocuted. Is that divine intervention?
This is what he does. He's like hops over here. That's why I keep leaning this way. And when I'm sitting in the chair, he styles my hair.
Yeah, we apologize for all you at home.
Yeah, my apologies.
To listen to this.
My apologies.
Pussy will fuck you up faster than anything else.
Admittedly, humans specifically males cast a very cynical shadow for me over religion, because I feel confident. I can't prove it, but I feel confident that religion has been manipulated. It was written by men, and therefore I just can't believe there wouldn't have been an agenda. And I know there's the Council of Nicaea, or is that right? Where they chose which chapters, and which sections of the Bible they were going to follow. And then you've got the King James version, which I don't know, is that the one that came out of the council? But it was written after the fact, right? And it was based on the letters of the apostles, supposedly.
Right.
But think of some of the things done in the name of religion afterward. Some of the wars that have been fought, between the Lutherans and the Presbyterians, the Spanish Inquisition, burning witches. It uses
the 100 Years' War, right?
It uses fear, and it taps into the very core of what humans have, focused on, which is that purpose. And it's caused us to do some pretty horrible things. And I think they're like anything, religion it can be and should be a tool for good, but there are many instances where whether it's the pedophilia within the Catholic Church, or some of the other things that we will never, have never come to light, and just the shaping of history and how it has to get a hold of you so early. There are some that come to it later. And that's, if you got a rational mind and you come to it, you get strength from it, you do you. Right. I'm not trying to discourage anybody from believing. I just am a place in my life where, absent fact and proof, I can't devote myself to something based on concern of a consequence that I'm not even sure will happen.
Right. Hell, you had Henry VIII of England abandon the Catholic Church because he couldn't get what he wanted out of them. So he abandoned the Catholic faith and started the Protestant faith in England with the Church of England, and said, okay, well, here's a church and they'll do what I want.
Yeah. And I said Presbyterians. I think I meant Protestants. Did I say Protestants? And was it Protestants?
I'd have to go back.
Either way.
I think you could pretty much insert any. Yeah.
Right.
I forget my world history.
Yeah. For me personally, I have grown up, Haas, you mentioned Methodist. I've grown up, my grandparents were Baptist on my dad's side. My mom We went to Methodist church. I've been to a Presbyterian church, been to a Catholic church, been to non-denominational churches, kind of been all over the map, and not one in terms of going to them, listening to what they had to say, did I walk away going, that's for me. Because obviously, by and large, they're all the same, right? You go to the Catholic church. If none of you have been in a Catholic church, they go the Catholic calisthenics. You basically go in and you're up, you're down, you're doing the sign of the cross, you're doing the Eucharist every service, and you're drinking the wine and taking the body of Christ. But I mean, you're on your knees, you're up, people are genuflecting the holy water. Like, there's so much to it, and it goes by fairly rapidly.
That sounds like a Friday night over here.
There you go. Interesting comparison. But it's one of those things where I didn't walk away from any of those going, that spoke to me. I felt it like, I have suddenly come to Jesus, or however you need to word it. And so it's like, I used to go to these things. And then at the end, and I don't know if you've all been to church, Baptist, non-denominational, like there was always that moment at the end where they're like, and now we'd like to invite anybody from the congregation to come down. If you need to have that moment with Jesus, our people will be here and we'll help guide you. And you watch these people go down and they get on their knees, and it's like they're having this moment. And I'm just like, did I miss something? Like, is there something wrong with me?
Obviously the core concept.
Right. At 16, when I was face down on the floor in the bathroom, when I OD'd, I don't remember seeing a bright light. Nobody spoke to me. There was nothing like that. I mean, it was just black. And I just remember waking up on the floor with paramedics all around me. And I didn't walk away from that experience going, I feel like I was touched by something, and it's just like, so I don't know when people have that moment. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just indigestion that they experienced and they thought God was talking to them. I don't know. And I mean, I don't want to speculate, but have any of you ever experienced anything where you just felt, because Haas, you said, when you're having a bad week, do you feel like that faith will help get you through? And Mac, of course, was very pointedly like, no, it's me. I do it.
It's been a long time. One of my surgeries when I was a young kid, before adolescence, I felt like I had a moment. But that was so long ago, I just don't know. And as you get older and you have more information to make a more informed decision, and as the memory fades with history, it's harder to recollect what really occurred. But I remember having a moment, and I remember telling people I thought it was a divine intervention type moment. And that's another thing. I mean, like, divine intervention. I mean, that's something that throughout the course of my life I have felt over time. I don't know. I struggle with it, to be honest. I understand there's no proof. I get that. I mean, like you said, Thor, I consider myself relatively intellectual. I don't want to go any further than that. I'm just smart enough to cause problems and get in trouble.
Be dangerous.
Right, exactly. But again, I mean, look, I know intellectually what's there, more importantly, what's not there. But there are things that have occurred over through the course of my life that lead me to be anchored to certain thoughts or ideologies that I might otherwise not be.
I can remember being a kid, my mom would tell me when we were broke, I used to pray to God that any money that we got, it didn't matter where it came from, I would give 50% of it to the church. And then for whatever reason, a check would show up in the mail. And she would, I shit you not. If it was a $100 check, she'd give 50 to the church, even if she needed the 50, because she prayed to God that if anything happened, she would do that. And it's just like, and I don't know, I've never talked to her in depth to go, how do you explain that?
God doesn't have a checking account. He can't write you a check.
But isn't it?
So I mean, I want to
go ahead, Mac. Sorry.
No, I want to circle back to one thing, because when Thor just repeated what I said, I sounded incredibly pompous and arrogant.
Let me do it again.
When I say, the faith is within me, it's not just me, right? It's the people in my life as well. It's you guys. It's my wife, my daughter, the family members. Those are the people. It's not. I don't want it to sound like everything's just me, because I'm fucking awesome. It's not. It's outside
I don't know,
forces.
dude. You're pretty fucking awesome.
I'm pretty fucking awesome, right? But I'm not
Sure.
that good.
Well,
So it's when I'm having a bad week, it's the meme that shows up, at 4:30 in the morning from Grinch, that just kind of completely turns your whole day around, right? It's
Until you click on that link.
until you click on that link, yeah.
And then it really turned it around for you, didn't it, Willie?
Things are looking up.
Yeah.
My SEAL Team 6 went to SEAL Team 12.
But that's kind of what I meant more around that. It's the conversations like we're having right now that I completely changed my mindset. It's not some outside force that I don't know about. It's those interactions is what I mean.
Can I tell you real quick, Mac? I mean, what I heard when you said that statement was, I hold myself accountable for what has transpired.
Yeah.
And I mean that in a positive way of being a realist, in the sense that if the day went bad or good or whatever, like, you can determine what caused it. Like, I mean, we all say like, oh, there's certain bad days, and there are, but it's not like you can't really unpack the reasons behind all of them. It was a bad call, or traffic was bad, or you got bad news, or something stupid happened. Like, and so that, I mean, that's how I think about consequence, or luck, let's say. But one thing
luck isn't scientific or
no,
tangible.
it's not. It doesn't exist, right?
And here's why I'm at. Here's why.
And I don't believe in luck either. So.
And I was pulling down that through, right? What's the old adage? The harder I worked, the luckier I got.
Yeah, and another thing I've heard about luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah. Absolutely. I wanted to pull on a thread real quick, because we started talking about divine intervention, miracles. What about miracles? Are we all saying none of us can point to a situation in our lives or anyone else's life where we went, holy shit, that is 100% a miracle?
No. So I can circle back to, and Grinch, I want to get to you because I'm sure you've got some great examples for this potentially. But, as you guys all know, in high school, I was in a car accident. Was unconscious for some period of time. I don't know what it was. That whole part of my memory is gone. But I don't think that, by any stretch of the imagination, do I think that God reached down and said, nope, it's not your time. Bing, I'm bringing you back, right? It was all the medical people and everybody that was involved that, made that happen.
Here's why I asked this. My niece, Dirty Sanchez' youngest, who lives with him, was driving back from Vegas to Bullhead City a couple months ago and was going too fast, lost control of the car, went off the road, flipped and rolled like 6 times, I don't know, but totaled the car. Not a scratch. When everyone who showed up to the scene said, we're 100% shocked that A, you're alive, but B, you have not a scratch on you. Not a scratch, not a bruise, nothing.
Well, they generally say drunk drivers don't incur injuries because their bodies.
She wasn't drunk.
Limp.
She wasn't drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but shit like that, I'm like,
apparently you weren't.
Well, I mean,
sorry, I mean,
it's okay. It's okay.
We've applied that term when something truly surprising happens,
right?
But at the end of the day, and this is both meant to say how amazing science and fiction or physics can be. If you had a video of it, you could watch it frame by frame and just understand the physics of how that happened.
Well,
like you could explain.
But your average scientist would say, "Oh my God, the probability!" Right? A mathematician or a scientist would be like, the probability of someone coming out of a situation like that completely unscathed, let alone alive.
Right, but they can't say zero.
Well,
right.
You know what I mean? Like,
but zero could.
Well, I mean,
guess what? You know what? If the wind had been, maybe 20 miles per hour more, she could have been blown, to the left and hit a rock that would have killed her, right? So, I mean, you can look at it and dissect and say, okay, because this didn't happen, and this did happen, that's why.
Well, Mac,
but if this had changed, then, it would have changed the outcome of it.
Right. Mac, I was there when you got into that car accident in high school. And the interesting part.
You were?
Yes.
Yes. We were both in the car. We were both in the car in front of you.
That's right.
When that car left the road, the interesting part is where that road makes that curve. When the driver couldn't negotiate that turn and went straight off the road, like when you look at the person's yard he went through, open yard, nothing there except one tree. And then just beyond the tree, I think it crossed a ravine, like there's like a river or something right there. Like And I don't know if you guys would have negotiated, but it's like you go, of all the things, one tree, and you guys managed to hit that tree and stop the car. And it's like,
and I'm taking your word for all of that, by the way,
Yeah.
because as bad as my memory is, I know that has been completely wiped from my memory.
Yeah, no,
I don't remember any
We
of that.
made the turn, and then we looked back and started
the other car
shouting to
didn't.
the driver saying,
Stop.
stop, 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 stop. They
Yeah.
hit a tree. And then we circled back.
Right. And it's just like the car didn't negotiate the turn. But again, you guys could have gone anywhere. He could have tried to turn off the road and put the car into a flip. I mean, you don't know. It's just,
Right.
But you managed to hit that tree, which stopped the car from going over that little river right there. Who knows what would have happened at that point.
And you say all of that, and I still can tell you that I don't believe there was a specific person that reached down, put their hands on the car. And I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but I'm just saying you could easily make that point that, oh my God, something had to have guided you. Yeah, the person driving the car guided us to the tree.
That's right.
Right? Or whether that was his intent or not, that's what happened.
Well,
And that's what I'm saying. I wasn't saying it was a miracle.
We were in a smaller car that.
Well, and that's it, right?
Right.
I mean, if your car had done that, you probably wouldn't have come out as well as we did, because again, you're right. We were in a bigger car, a lot more steel, so it took
Older
the
car.
impact a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, so just, returning to what Haas asked, I mean, I understand the usage of the statement, because it's amazing. It just seems highly unlikely. And like, I may use the term, but I don't necessarily mean it in the God intervened sense of saying like, holy crap, that was a miracle. Like, I mean, I've said it at work of like, collecting on a check, like somebody finally paid, like, holy crap, what a miracle. I didn't think they'd ever pay,
Well,
like,
let's say we all use that in football, right? And in sports,
Yeah,
we say
yeah.
that, but it's not.
And it's, but the other thing, Mac, I wanted to touch on is when you said God doesn't have a checkbook, but isn't it funny how important money, tithing, and donations are? And every one of these fucks on TV, to include that Copeland piece of shit who said he'd blow COVID-19 away, keeps that. So donate now, just rolling the whole time.
That's not God's checkbook.
Yeah, and they aren't living like the poor.
No,
they're jet setting around.
God, no.
They have
nice private
houses.
jets. They have Who's the original kind of Jim and Tammy Faye?
Yes,
and just the shit show that they had.
And that's obviously the dark side of religion. Obviously, televangelists, when you talk about that, and it's like God or whatever the religion is, there seems to be one pinnacle figure. Its parishioners, congregation, tithe, which then get paid up the line. There's another organization where that same thing happens. It's the mafia. There's one pinnacle figure, and everybody makes money and passes it up the line, right? I mean, you can draw correlations to anything, but
I mean, at the end of the day, it is a technique. It is a mechanism of control,
manipulation,
and it knows it. And that's the part of it that truly bothers me as well, is the insidiousness of that throughout our history. And it takes advantage of the poor, of the illiterate, and it didn't care. As long as they believed and they stayed in line, critical thought was never taught. They didn't want critical thought. They wanted you to accept it to the fullest or fear the fires of damnation. No in between. No, like, I'm hedging my bets. Like, let's see how this thing plays out. Like, it's, you are all in or you aren't. And that's scary, because again, it taps into the very core of you're seeking meaning, and you use that thing. And I mean, a movie that comes to mind, and I know it's a movie, but is the Book of Eli. When what's his name? One of the best actors.
Denzel.
But no,
Gary Oldman.
One of the greatest actors we've ever seen in our lives. Like, his character recognized the power of what that book meant. Like, I think of that as a easy, like, modern day kind of reference to its people understand how powerful it is.
When nobody else around him understood it.
Because you hook into people at a level that's, they perceive to be at a spiritual level, which supersedes all things, right? Because he's everywhere. He, the infamous capital H-E, coincidentally, I don't know why he would need a gender, but I guess because we said we're made in his own image, right? But like, if it's a God of that proportion, does it give a shit about gender? Does it give a shit about who won the lottery or how a farm is doing? Like,
well, he may not, but the people that are representing him on this earth sure as fuck do, because they seem to interpret. And that's the problem, right? Is the Bible and a lot of the manuscripts and stuff. It's open to interpretation, and that's why you get so many different sects of religions. I mean, you can have all these different religious groups following the Bible, and every one of them interprets it a completely different way.
right. And think of that. I mean, the arrogance of you're going to manipulate the word of God to suit your agenda while claiming to be spiritual the whole time. Like some of that stuff is not subject to interpretation.
None of it should be subject to interpretation.
Used, whether you're ISIS, the Taliban, Islam writ large, if you commit atrocities by
Baptist,
evoking
or
Christian,
or burning witches,
Catholic,
or the Spanish Inquisition, like some horrible atrocities have been done in the name of religion while claiming it was for God.
Right.
It's just, I don't know, it's disgusting. But I do want to throw out one other thing, which is a funny concept that I struggle with some days, and it's kind of related to religion, which is karma.
Yes.
Like it can't exist, right? It can't. But at the same time, you're like, I just said I hope
sometimes
that guy runs off the fucking road.
Right. Unfortunately, the one karmic justice that never seems to work for me is every time something happens when I'm out and I'm like, I wish there was a cop around. And there's never
a cop around.
But you light up a joint and fuck a goat.
And there's a fucking cop around.
Something else I want to throw out, which is a video Neil deGrasse Tyson did, which was he wasn't like, this segment wasn't necessarily anti-religion, but what the point he was making was how much astrophysics has come to explain. Because he said, if you look at the periodic table, however many years ago, people wouldn't have understood the significance of that or what it means, or the fact that we're made up of 5 of those key things, carbon being the most important one. He's like, as we continue our exploration of the universe, and by the way, we've explored less than 1 quintillionth or whatever a big number is of the universe,
or whatever a big number
because is. The numbers they say is there are more stars than there are grains of sand in the entire world,
right?
There are more stars than every single spoken word ever that's been uttered since the history of man. So the scale of that, like, your brain can't even wrap around. But his point was, regardless, based on what we've already started to explore, the elements are there that explain how we are composed, like what we're made of, whether it's carbon, oxygen, hydrogen. These things exist even on Mars.
Right.
And so he's like, astrophysics tells us that basically as a star explodes, as an asteroid travels, whatever, that's what deposited the things that ultimately made us up, and explains kind of how we came to be. But he went on, he moved to his next point, and he said, I want to leave you with this disturbing thought, which is, on Earth, the chimpanzee is the closest thing to us by DNA. Only like 2% of our DNA, 4%, whatever, is different than a chimpanzee. Yet, if you laid a poetry book in front of a chimpanzee, you wouldn't know what to do with it, right? Let alone get into astrophysics. He's like, imagine if we encountered beings that have just 2% more than us, and think of like how they might view us. Right. We're the chimpanzees, right? Going, this universe is difficult, and they're just like animals.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and we kind of touched on this before, right? Like, who here believes in extraterrestrials?
That's when we were doing our segment, the tin hat segment. Yeah.
Again,
but
zero
that's
proof, but math tells us it could. Oh, did I miss something? Did we go from God to Martians? Oh shit.
No, but I'm just saying,
the extraterrestrials.
That's where I was headed with that. Yeah.
Right.
Based
Maybe
on what
we're
you're
that.
Yeah, based on what you're saying, we may be the higher life form in the universe.
Look, all of this is just a simulation anyway. It's somebody playing The Sims.
You're damn right.
And,
you're damn right.
We're in the Matrix.
We're in the Matrix.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about us here down south, if we want to talk about religion, and we've talked about this before, it's like college football. Like, that's a religion for us down here, and your church is your stadium. and that belief that your team can conquer all. I mean,
and you just compared my Lord and Savior to your college football team.
Because it's
What's your
about
email
as
address
useful.
again?
It's about as
What
fucking
about some of
useful.
these kids who consider? I mean, technology is a religion,
Yeah.
and some of these influencers are basically, gods or demigods in a way.
And people are tithing to them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like we said, and it's interesting. Like as you get into I started reading the book, left it on a plane, never bought it again. American Gods, where they talk about the new gods coming
in the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, at the end of the day, like we can list all the gods that have supposedly influenced our world, and at the time, people believed in them with all their hearts and
You say
minds.
supposedly, but I think they have influenced our world, greatly influenced our world.
I mean, Thor, Zeus, like
that's
all
true,
these were
Thank you.
strong. And like you prayed to these things, and we now think it's silly, right? I mean, we think it's absurd. You're praying to the god of thunder and hope you win. Well, no,
yes,
you know what?
I am.
Are you doing a rain dance tonight?
People
too?
go into combat, and strategy and tactics
easy.
are what wins.
Don't be.
It's not the gods. It's not the
You're
gods.
stepping on the rain dance.
I mean,
in a game, like
but
we
that's
say,
it.
you
So-
pray
so
for
that-
a good game. That's a quarterback making a play.
Right.
So
You-
and that brings up a great question, and I want to ask this of you, Grinch. When you've been in those situations, because you've been in combat situations, obviously, I think we all are good. And if we want to edit this out, that's fine too. But I mean, did you ever, I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've been in some pretty shitty situations, and when you came out of those, did you say, "Boy, I'm glad was watching over me," or was it, "I'm glad Rodriguez was watching over me"? Right? That's who kept you safe, not some unknown
That's right.
deity, right? I mean,
Yeah, like I said, I compare it to the same thing as like if you're in a hospital, and I get the notion of like when you're afraid you're going to lose someone, it affects you to the core of your being. And at the end of the day, you're like, I don't care if there's anybody out there, I'll pray, fuck it,
well, yeah,
But
it's whatever.
It's
whatever.
the surgeon in the room, right? Or the team that's in the room that's doing the surgery.
We watched the comedian Daniel Sloss, and he talks about that when you cure cancer and you thank God, and the doctor's standing there and going like, "Excuse me,
Yeah.
I don't see him
his name on the chart."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's, and then you start going into the explain to me cancer in children, fucker.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
that would be
like,
the other thing,
all
right?
the
explain that to me.
atrocities that are happening
Childhood
in this world.
lymphoma. What did they do?
But God works in mysterious ways.
But that's an
Well, that's pretty
excuse for people
And
that
then,
don't have
and
a fucking
what was
answer.
that comedian who was it? Was it Ricky Gervais who said, "Yeah, show up to work and start working in mysterious ways and see how,
Uh-huh.
See how long
for
you
you."
stay
That's
employed.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah,
Fucking love
yeah.
Ricky Gervais.
right.
Religion is a fickle thing. People are very passionate about it for whatever reason. Be it they think they'll get into heaven if they are staunch
There's great
supporters of
reasons.
religions.
And look, right?
There
I
are
don't
great
think
reasons
any of
for
us.
what? Hold on. There are great reasons for what? Believing in religion?
Yeah,
Okay, like?
sense of community, a sense of belonging, a sense of help, a sense of knowing right and wrong, and being look. We were all raised, for the most part, we were all raised in loving families where we didn't really struggle or suffer a lot. I'm not saying we didn't struggle here and there and whatever, but there are people out there. I mean, that's what they have from a community is the local church, to help guide them, to help mold them, to help shape them, to help them. And I think there's a lot of value in that. I think there's a lot of value in fellowship, and like-minded people coming together. Now, obviously, there's outer sex, the fringe that is a problem, but I think that's in any instance, in any situation. But yeah, I think there's a lot of value for certain people in certain instances and in certain places. Religion provides, and it provides when nothing else does, can, or will.
Yeah, and if you're homeless and you go into a church and you and they provide for you the clothes that they provide or the shelter, that isn't God doing that.
Nope.
Somebody provided that to
But
the
it's
church.
a religious organization, and it's through their belief
But at that
system.
point, is it not just a club?
Yeah.
I mean, could you
I
not
mean,
compare it to
I mean,
the
that's,
boys club.
that's a
right?
that's a funny way of putting it, Zero. But you're right. I mean, it most certainly could be considered a club. Who's to say that it's not already considered a club by some people? Look,
Right.
I know there are people. But more importantly than all of those, the social aspect of being in certain churches is immensely powerful to a lot of people and immensely helpful to a lot of people. A lot of people wouldn't have the social interactions or engagements they have if it wasn't for the fact that they belong to that institution.
But that brings up a good
Studies, I want to say this real quick.
Mhm.
Studies have shown that we're becoming more and more detached as individuals than we ever have been. And technology is one of those reasons. But they showed, and I can't remember what, I'll have to see if I can go back and find it so you can cite it in this. But they were saying that the other main reason is the lack of organized religion. People our age and younger are not getting involved in organized religion in mass numbers.
I don't think it's just you don't have to be, and I'm not going to disagree with what you're saying. I totally agree, and I think technology to the point you brought up is a big driving factor of that. I mean, the plague that God unleashed on us, COVID-19, is another driving force of people not being, involved, with each other. And we even mentioned that's the whole reason we started this podcast, was to kind of bring that, back together so that we had a means to be in touch with each other. But I think there's other ways to do it. You don't have to do it in an organized religion, right?
You're right, but people don't. Historically speaking, if you're not in this, then you're not doing all of these things.
And look, I'm not judging anybody. As we've said, whatever gets you through your day and helps you, for lack of a better term, and I hate using this term, but live your best life, then that's great. But to me, it's the folks you bring up, being the social aspect and everything. There's a downside to that social aspect that I see in a lot of religions as well. It's the judgment, right? It's
the blind faith.
No.
There's a long list.
That judgment. I'm talking about the judgment amongst other people.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Sally didn't come to church this Sunday. Wonder where she was, right? Or, I'm very religious. I don't drink at all. And guess where you were Friday night? Fucking getting wasted at the damn club, twerking. So, I think to me, that's another problem I have, right? With organized religion is the kind of, I guess I want to say the two-faced aspect of it.
Bro, I'm not going to
It's not all religions, right? It's not all.
I'm not going to argue against that there aren't bad things. All I'm saying is there is value.
There's good things to it. No, I agree with that.
To
right?
organized religion.
Unless you're the Westboro Baptist Church.
Well, and two quick points related to both of your comments, which is one, Mac, I'm with you. Just because you go to church and I don't, doesn't give you the moral high ground. Full stop. It doesn't.
Right.
You're not a better person.
Just because I'm better.
You're not smarter. Like none of the above. You choose to go. Right. That's right. And I don't. It's that simple.
Hello, Samson.
But Haas, one of the things I do wonder, and there's no way we'll ever know, is if we had not had religion to influence history, how would things have been different? Because I guess there's probably something to be said for other historical figures who had the guiding light of religion in their lives, and it kept them from doing bad, as opposed to going, fuck it, there are no consequences, I'll do whatever the hell I want. Yeah, I have to imagine that could have been present.
There would have been
probably
other
something else,
thing that would have filled that void, right? To almost basically to control the population.
Hey, is what they're convinced it was the ability to have sight that ended modern,
before there was religion, there was paganism, right? I mean, it was the same type of thing where you believed in things that were not of your control, that someone else controlled, and if you acted and behaved in a certain way, you would get a certain outcome. So, absent religion, because I don't know, do you consider paganism religion?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I guess the form of it, in the sense that like you find meaning,
right.
It's like magic, right? And
some spirituality
and all that
like
stuff,
that.
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
the Wiccans.
It's all based on faith. Faith in the gods, faith in a god.
Yeah, right. At the end of the day, if there's anything you simply can't prove, it requires faith to follow it and believe in it.
There you have it.
Because you gotta have faith.
All right,
and
I know that song's been in my head the whole time.
Let's do Limp Bizkit's version if we're doing one.
Oh, please do. That version
no
so
more.
Good.
Yeah. Gentlemen, as always, I appreciate you being here. Haas, I hope we answered some of your questions. I know you had some questions you threw out because you were interested in what our responses would be to those. Because as you said,
but at the
30
end of the
years,
day,
we've never talked about this.
yeah, there's no consequences, if we didn't answer them, because there's no God out there to punish us for not answering them.
Exactly.
Or is there?
Well,
there's not.
you.
There's
So
only Max.
you might spank me Friday night for not answering them, but
Buddy, come on.
I'm okay with that.
But
Max
you're
sets
inviting
the
that
standards.
punishment.
Yes, I am.
It's
Yes,
occurred to me.
Queen.
What's occurred to you?
It's occurred to me. We've thrown a lot of jokes like this, and this might be worth saying. Like they are jokes.
They're not.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's
They're not
married.
jokes.
We
They're
have
not
kids.
jokes. There's 30 years of history. They're not jokes.
We have
Every joke is
rooted in truth.
some
That's right.
reality.
Where's your head? Between two pillows.
Those are not too fluffy
Those are not-
pillows.
What? Oh, I like how Haas compares them to fluffy pillows.
That's
Right. Well, it was John Candy. You know they were fluffy.
Yeah,
May he rest in peace.
indeed.
Yes.
Gentlemen, thank you. I appreciate it. Again, I didn't come on here looking for answers to any specific dilemma or question. It was really just to see, what did we think of religion and faith, and is there a higher power? It seems to be that one of the things I think we almost agree on exclusively is that we want there to be. We just have no proof that there is. And therefore, we continue to just question. And there's nothing wrong with spending your life questioning. So, Mac, I know you said you're less Angostura bitters and more atheist.
He's less Angostura, more agnostic.
Agnostic bitters.
Agnostic.
Well, I'm bitter.
And that's okay. That's okay if your lack of belief is one of the things that helps fuel you. And then at the end of the day, you're the one that makes it all happen.
Well, and I think one important point to take out of all this is, no matter what you believe or don't believe, just goddamn it, be a good person.
Just be a good person.
Because either
Right.
way, whether there's an afterlife or you're just dead and buried, all you really have is what
Leave it better than you found it.
you had when you were here.
Right.
And the people that are going to remember you, and they're going to either remember you as being a good person or being an asshole.
That's it.
So don't be an asshole.
Well, unless it's called for.
and
And then double down.
all I
there
want
are
to say is that the word stricture, the second
a thing?
definition, is something that closely restrains or limits.
Stricture. That's
Now,
a
the
thing.
first definition is
So
an
Haas has a
abnormal
lot of
narrowing of a
strictures.
bodily passage.
Haas works on that.
Kegels.
Yeah, anal giggles.
That's it. Gentlemen, thank you very much. This was insightful and entertaining and all at the same time in equal measure. And I appreciate you guys being here. As always, to all of the masturbators out there, join us each week for A Spirited Debate. You can catch us at aspiriteddebate.com. You can check out our YouTube channel at A Spirited Debate, dropping new content on regularly there. And as always, please drop us a line at spiriteddebates@gmail.com. Hit us with a drink, hit us with a topic. Let us know. Maybe we can get you on the show, have you come in here and debate with the group. But
Have you
we're
do
gonna-
some masturbating?
yeah, definitely masturbating. So, gentlemen, as always, thank you. We will leave it there, and we will do this again next week.